Hello, my name is Mae Whittick. Welcome to Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening. Her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. This is the optimal state to embody in order to attract our highest desires. What is the awakening? This is the moment in time when humanity rises up out of the darkness. Who is awakening? Each one of us present on earth today, reclaiming our sovereignty, seeking greater possibilities in our reality and looking for solutions. We know being awakened is not a lofty ideal but a necessity. If we can transform ourselves, we can change the world. Guests on Her Conversations will speak to your spirituality, sensuality and soul. Listen to their stories, hear how they are in service to the world. Let their words and these conversations embolden and inspire you. Welcome back to Her Conversations. It feels like it has been a moment, and it has been a moment. There's been some celebrations and some milestones, personal milestones for myself, and this episode will be a solo episode that reflects on those milestones and what they have shown to me and how I am choosing to move forward as a result of experiencing those momentous occasions in my life. And I begin with a quote from Jean de la Bruyère, and I hope I've pronounced his name correctly, but this quote stuck out for me, and it's, "Those who make the worst use of their time are the first to complain of its brevity." When I was younger, the idea of being 50 years old was so distant, ancient and daunting. Mine, and I suppose many others' thinking was that when you were 50, you were then 60 and then you were 70. And the way that we imagined those years, it was in a way that made those years sound like they just passed subsequently, instead of acknowledging that there are full decades between each of those, and that actually represents 30 years. And 50 was also used as a barometer as to what the sum total of your life achievement was at that point. And the thinking was, or the impression that I got was, you made it, that was the top of the hill, and then everything from there would be loss and pretty much downhill from there. And I always promised myself, and I declared to others, that my outlook would be completely different, which was always greeted with, "You wait and see," which of course I always responded with, "Unfortunately, you won't be here to see me." And sadly, I was right about that. Many of those who I used to say that to are just not here to see me in a physical sense. However, I celebrate that I made it with my mind and my body and my spirit intact. And turning 50, I'm feeling grateful and positive about my future, despite the times that we're living through right now. My peace of mind is hard-won. It has taken great effort. It has been painful. It has required faith of an immensity that I didn't even know was possible. If I was to take an inventory of what I imagined that I would have at this point in my life, I would say the only quote-unquote missing things are material things, all external things, which I now know are easily attainable and also easily lost, which explains why the sole pursuit of stuff in itself leaves people depressed and empty. I get the middle-aged crisis that people have. I'm just not having one myself. So what you cultivate for yourself on the inside is the best life insurance. Nothing can take that away from you. When you have nothing, you still have that. And in recent times, I've been stripped to nothing, and I've still had that. And that's what got me out of those situations where, from the outside looking in at me, it looked bleak. So what is that? For me, it's knowledge of myself, it's acceptance of myself and true love of myself. It's being clear about who I'm going to be and how I'm choosing to show up in this world. And it's gratitude for everything that has happened. It's trust in the guidance of my intuition and my higher self, and a solid and unshakable and non-negotiable connection to that. And to quote a verse from the Bible, from 1 Corinthians 13, verse 11, is, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. As I've grown into this decade and entered into official middle age, who knows when that starts, but I suppose people take you more seriously as a middle-aged person at 50, what I've noticed in people who struggle with getting older is they think that not being young means that they're losing, and they've not chosen to embrace the opportunity that maturity is offering them. So they're fighting the inevitable aging of their bodies by trying to hack it or use quick fixes instead of supporting their health and their well-being and being mindful and responsible and blossoming from that way. They use manipulation and contrarianism instead of cultivating character and wisdom. And as time goes on, these behaviours, if not addressed, then are becoming more embedded, and they become that bitter old person that no one wants to be around. So I was very clear about who I wanted to be when I was older many years ago, and I never knew if my stance was going to work or if it was just the ignorance of my youth speaking. But as a result of that, I made very significant changes in my life because I wanted a different outcome from one that was supposedly inevitable, genetic even. Health, for instance. And health is our primary asset. If you're not doing anything and everything in your power to attain and maintain your health, the quality of your life, and eventually those around you who will be charged with the responsibility of your care, will diminish. It's also a mark of respect and love for yourself and for others to stay healthy. Purpose. Have a reason for living, a project, a goal, a direction. Otherwise, you're rudderless and you're lost, and you'll expect others to accompany and entertain you. Keep learning. Ask yourself, what is your legacy? Who do you want to be? What do you want to think of when you really realise that it's your last breath? Will you be happy with the way that you've lived your life? Spiritual practice. Divine connection, pray, meditate, contemplate, find peace and stillness, personal joy. Of all the things that I cherish the most in my life at this moment in time, I would say it's my peace. It's been a hard one, and I will defend it to the end. I'm not tolerating things that take me out of that anymore. Healing, forgiveness. Forgive yourself and others. And this is not to allow people to mistreat you. This is not about forgetting, but it's about personal freedom and your emotional liberation. We have to acknowledge our trauma. We have to seek help if needed, if we feel that we need that. We may even need to reparent ourselves. We need to create boundaries and understand that not everyone deserves access to you. And just because they've known you for X amount of years is not a free pass. So if they refuse to treat you right, you have to create distance. You deserve peace. Like I said, it's my primary state. An extra tip and incentive to doing the work is your mental state shows on your face the older you get. So even just for vanity's sake, if you want to stay looking radiant, address your stuff. You can hack it, you can pull it back, you can pump it, but after a while, you can't hide a bitter heart. It just plays out on your face. We all know those people. Never complain. And unfortunately, I hear this more. And to this I say, in my life experience, by the time I was 18, maybe even a little before that, I had been to the funeral of 2 close friends and 1 parent. And my friends had been my age at that time. And then every subsequent decade, I would lose at least 2 more friends and another relative. So my celebration of making it to 50 is my celebration that I'm still here, because there are so many people that I had to say goodbye to when they were 12 and 16 and 22 and 30. And it's crazy to feel, when you're young, you just think that we're all going to have fun and grow old together. But some of them are just not here. And I have friends now of all ages, all decades, and I kind of kick off at my older friends who moan about being old. Like, you're still here. If you're complaining about your age, you're complaining about being alive. And people will do anything to stay alive but not live, but complain about it. Still trying to work that out. So my achievements and my milestones, like I said, I made it to 50. And this podcast is 5 years old. And it started as an idea that I took a chance on. And it's taught me so much about people. It reintroduced me to my voice, because at that time, when I first started and when I listened back to those early days, it was really just for me to say my own name out of my own mouth. I felt a real block in my throat chakra, and maybe I should listen back, but sometimes you just don't want to look back on certain things. But it's really just, it got me back into my voice, because I'd spent so many years working on music, spent so many years being disappointed by what I wasn't achieving and not really noticing what I did achieve in that time scale. And then a big project just kind of stalled itself, and I was heartbroken for a long time and didn't sing and didn't do anything with my voice. So it's reintroduced me back to my voice and understanding the power of my voice. And it has also opened up new opportunities for me using my voice and for this podcast, which I will elaborate on in further episodes. To close, the stress and the anxiety that people feel related to aging stem from external and mainly societal ideals. All of these are shoulds from a one-size solution that suits no one. You choose how you want to move forward in your life. To age is a privilege. To get older is a privilege. How you do it is, really up to you. I choose to envision that this is just the midpoint of my life. I could live for another 50 years. Who knows? The world the world would have me think different, but I'm gonna treat my days and my life and my body and my mind and everything, my health, as if I've got another 50 years to go. And that will make a difference to the way that I show up. I'm going to disregard what they are saying, because it never worked for me. It's never going to work for me. And the ones that followed the things that they said don't look happy. The misery of the mass has given me enough indication that doesn't work. And I'm trying something different. And my ignorance and ballsiness got me thus far. And it feels good at this point. So thank you for listening and dipping into this podcast. And I made it. And in every day that I say it, it's with immense gratitude and enormous amounts of wonder. And I close with a quote from Lao Tzu. Time is a created thing. To say I don't have time is like saying I don't want to. You can find out more about me on my website, carolmaewhittick.com. Find me on Instagram, Casmic, on Telegram, Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening. Until the next episode, thank you.